Right, hi everybody, and the final sheet. Now then, I've made this, okay, now I made this to go on here. This is at the bottom section that's made to mirror the top section, but it's slightly wider. I didn't want them the same size. So I made this is just a piece of lace, and I folded it over to form a hem at the back, okay. And then I've done bullion knots, kind of equally spaced and one above the other with a space between, and the plan is to put it on there, okay, put it there and have the zip connecting it to the top piece. Now last night I was a bit, so there, okay. So that's how that looks. Now last night I did actually consider leaving that like that, because I like that like that, to be honest with you, and putting this at the bottom. I've decided against it, but I wanted to show you what it looks like. Okay. Now I've decided against it because to me it's a little bit twee and it's a little bit predictable, okay. So I'm not going to do that. Now I'm going to do it like I said I was going to do it, but can you imagine, once again, we'll come back up here. Okay, so can you imagine if I do this and this class went on for 3 years, like it could easily do, we could be in 3 years' time. I could keep adding, couldn't I? And I could also add at the side as well. So I just want you to see the potential of these pieces, that's all. I know that you do see that potential because I've seen the work in the Flickr group, but it's just kind of a reinforcement to you of the potential of these pieces, okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is tack this piece to this bit of paper. Right. So under there is only going to be visible if you lift it. But that doesn't matter because somebody might want to lift it. For example, when I go to London, somebody could come along and have a look at that and see what the continuation's like underneath. So that doesn't matter to me. The things aren't necessarily visible straight off in your face visible. So I'm going to get my tacking thread and thread a needle. Now the thing about this is, just let me get a needle. If I tack it along the very top edge, okay, if I tack it, say here, it's actually going to be, just let me get the thread off there, it's quite soft here, so I'm going to do it from the back so that I can pull it tight when I do it, but I'm going to have to be careful that it's straight at the front. Now what I'll do is I'll tack it first in position, and then I'll turn it to the back and tack it again to make sure it's tight enough, okay. Now I'm moving this quite far down because I don't want the bullion loops to get caught in the zip when I attach the zip. So that's why I pulled that down that far. So if I tack it first along here, I'm going to say that I'm going to tack it quite close to the top edge, and then you won't see any holes that I make. Okay, because I'm just going to do it blind, but I'm going to do it with big stitches. Now these holes won't be visible because these will be caught up in the zip process, so they'll be covered by the zip hopefully. So just secure it with a couple of threads, a couple of stitches first. Be careful if you do this because it does tend to get caught around the stitching. It's got to be, making sure that it's straight all the time. Okay. And then like I say, go to the back and pull it tight at the back so that it is a bit tighter. I do have a ruler to the right of me so I can check how straight it is when I've done it, but I prefer to do it by eye, to be honest, because I see these pieces as more organic. It's not like it's a massive quilt that everything's got to match every corner, do you know what I mean? So that hole's probably a bit low down, that one. Go back up to the top. I do love bullion loops, as I'm sure you know, but they can be a nuisance in terms of thread getting trapped around them when you're tacking. Now to me that looks pretty straight, just bring it down a little bit there. And then go down again. I'm trying to go through the more solid areas of the lace as well. There. So that to me looks pretty straight. Now I'll go to the back and see if I can just pull it a little bit more, just to make it tighter on that edge, because it's quite springy, this lace. And again, when it's caught at the front, around another bullion loop. I think actually it's okay, to be honest. I don't normally necessarily need this, but it's just security. Peace of mind. You can't put a price on peace of mind. Now it's going to be tricky getting this zip in, but it's eminently doable. And I've had people say, oh, your bullion loops, don't stitch your bullion loops in, because they are quite close, aren't they, to the bottom. But I can tie them out of the way, and the thing as well is that my foot may go over them, might not be able to avoid that, but having said that, they should spring back anyway once I take the machine foot off them. So I'll just go back through once more, and that's that tacking finished. Okay, and cut that off. Now looking at it from this direction, it doesn't look as straight. I think it's because of this bit hanging over the side here, so I'm going to trim this bit off, because I don't need this bit anyway. They're paper scissors, but they're good paper scissors because they were fabric scissors. Right, so now this bit, I need to tack this. Now the zip isn't quite long enough for some reason. It's a little bit short at both ends, but that doesn't matter because I don't think you'll notice that once you get the once it's all put together. So again, get more tacking threads, and I'm going to tack this zip down through existing holes. Okay. Now quite possibly it would be better to tack this on before I tack the bottom bit on, but that would mean, sorry, to sew this bit on with the machine before attaching the bottom bit. But that would mean that I would have to put my machine away and get this slot back out again. I don't know what to do about that, to be honest with you. So that's through an existing hole. Now I'm not going to be able to see, but maybe I will actually, I don't know. I might be able to see from the back, on the back of the zip, if I make a hole at the front like I've done before. No, I can't. So I'm going to have to do it blind, I think, on this zip thing. Oh, that's okay. I came up there through an existing hole. And then go down again. I'm just literally securing this at this one end. And then I can do bigger ones, you see, once it's secure. So hopefully I can come up around here somewhere. Very, very gently poking from the back, because I really don't like doing this. There. Sometimes you can see the needle from the back making a kind of indentation at the front, and you can follow that indentation and move it, say, 1/4 of an inch the right way towards the hole. You can guide it, but it's not really the most reliable thing to do. So it's just a case of being really, really careful. There. I wouldn't advocate doing this unless you absolutely have to. And I'm making these stitches very big. There, that's another preset hole. I'm actually quite pleased with myself for managing to get this far without creating extra holes in this pattern. And go down there. These are very big tacking stitches, and again they're getting... Oh, and by the way, I managed to get the third row of loops in. Do you remember from the other day I did those and put those in? So this has taken me longer than I thought it would, to be honest. And again, another hole that's already there. That's really good. I'm very happy about that. Right, and I definitely need one at this end because I don't want the end moving when I'm stitching, do I? And part of me fears that I may have to use my zipper foot with this, and I just can't get... I think it's because it was the standard zipper foot that I got with my machine, which isn't as good as if I bought a speciality zipper foot for my machine. So right, and again I'm just doing a couple of extra stitches to really secure it at the end. Okay, so that should be secure now. So if I cut that off and then get this on here. Now what's important here obviously is lining up the ends of the paper. Just turn it around. This is going to be tricky. I mean, the good thing about this is I'm going to have to start this end. The good thing about this is that it doesn't really matter about the holes because they're going to be under this fabric. So if we go down there and secure it, and come back up again, and go down again to secure it, and I'm going to come up again and go down again to secure it, because I don't imagine if I got all the way to the end and it all came undone, I'd be really fed up about that, wouldn't I? Now I might have to leave a little bit of zip visible there. It's just a case of holding on to it as tight as you can. So obviously I've left a bit of zip. It's only logistics because I couldn't see a way of doing it any other way. I need to make sure it's straight. I may well, you might think, oh for goodness sake Karen, why are you doing that? But what I'm going to do now is come up here, right next to where I went down, and then I'm going to take it all the way up this end, just to anchor, just so that I know it's going to go straight. So that's a huge tacking stitch, but I don't care about that, to be honest. I care more about the fact that I want this to be straight. So come up again and then go down there, like that. And then it is fiddle central, and then up here. Now if I did want to put this fabric at the bottom, I don't know if you noticed, I had a row of random pricks along the top here that would have disguised this tacking, so it wouldn't have destroyed the paper, the pattern or anything. So always remember that your random line of prickings are useful for tacking and attaching things. Go down again there. So I think we're totally secure now. So just come up there and go down the same place a couple of times. Now I'm just thinking, if I stitch through here very close to the edge, that's going to attach it to the zip, but not necessarily attach it to the paper. The zip So what I'm probably going to have to do with this one is do a line there. Sorry. Do a line there because I can't feel the paper all the way. I'll do a line there and see if I need to do another line underneath to make sure the paper's attached to this fabric. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Right, so I need to get my sewing machine out now and get my zipper foot out. And then we'll have lift off. So, and that will be how it looks. So I'll just turn off while I get my sewing machine and everything ready. Right, I'm ready, I'm set up. So, very, very carefully, with this zipper foot, go down here. Right, now I'm not convinced that that is attached to the paper all the way down. Okay, so I need to check that before I decide if I'm going to do another line. So how I'm going to do that is just, I can't really take the tacking out yet. I think it might be okay if I take the tacking out and then I can check properly. But I don't really, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do another one anyway. And this isn't a failure. This is a precaution and a construction. Hang on, my thread's come out my needle. And a construction process. And if this piece calls for 2 lines at the top, it's not a failure, trust me. It's just the best way of securing your piece and having peace of mind. I mean, I'm not going to sell this, but if I was, can you imagine if I can't thread my needle, I can't see, that if I sent it off to whoever bought it and it got there and the bottom piece came off, it wouldn't have been made properly, would it? So it's all about making it properly. Going through each process that ensures this is properly constructed. Okay, so we'll do another line down here just to double secure. And I've deliberately left the ends on here so I can tie them off properly. Okay. Now I've got the top piece to attach. And the tacking is actually coming out of the top piece already, so I'll have to be very careful with this piece. So if I... Now I'm not even going... And what I've done there, my needle moves across, so I'm moving my needle right over to the right, so it's literally at the very edge of this paper and it won't stitch through my bullion loops. Okay, and I'm going to have to hold this carefully and go all the way down here, and this is annoying. See how that's going to get in the way? That's right. I'm so close to the edge of the paper here, but that's good because I don't want to stitch through my bullion loops. Right, and I can imagine Elizabeth, you're holding your breath now. Elizabeth in Denmark, but you can breathe now because I haven't stitched through my balloon loops. Nothing terrible has happened to them. And stop there. So that is a massive relief to me. I knew it would work. I didn't have any doubts it would work, but it's like what I'm like when I'm turning my cloth right way out and things, when I'm making a wrapping cloth or something. I still have those little niggly doubts. You can never be 100% sure of anything. Right, I'm just going to put this on the floor and get this back round. I don't know if I'll have to move the camera. I might actually turn off and move the camera again. Right, so now it's a case of taking the tacking out and tying the ends off. So I'll take the tacking out first, and then hopefully what's happening at the ends will be easier to do. I'm not going to really pull hard, I'm going to snip if I have to. Because don't forget, there's a chance that there's machine stitch gone through this tacking. I think that might be. No, it's not. There's some more to get a needle actually. I think there's more here. But wherever, if I can't see how to pull that out, I'm just going to snip a loose end off, because it will become apparent at some point where the tacking is that needs to come out, and I will turn it to the back in a sec as well, because you can have a look at the back. So a lot of those, so that appears that all the tacking's out of the top bit. So if I pull this through and tie this off, which is going to be easier said than done because it doesn't want, oh, there's some tacking there, you can see it there. Take that out. Normally if you just pull this bottom thread, you get the loop from the top, and you can pull that through, and that's what I tie off. But it's not working for some reason. Maybe now. No, so what I'm going to do is feed this through to the back with a needle and tie it off that way. Okay. Through the hole that's set by the sewing machine. And just tie this one off. Now also we've got to consider about the mounting of this piece, and I do not think that I have a piece big enough. I don't think it's going to look right on one of those smaller pieces. So, and that probably, I'm just going to get some tape and pick up these bits, because they do annoy me. Bits of thread everywhere, can't be doing. Right, now to this end. I don't think. So they're both of those now there, so that's good. Tie that off as well, and then snip this off. Okay, so now it's just the tacking. I'm going to do this one from the back as far as the zip is concerned, but then I've got all the tacking to take out of the stitched piece, haven't I? This is going to be quite hard, I think, to get all this out. Can't really differentiate here what's tacking and what's the end of the machine stitching. So really, that's probably the end of the machine stitching there, that one, and this will be tacking that's got kind of caught up underneath to create a bit of a a dog's dinner, so I'm just going to cut that off, I think. I'm not pulling anything because I don't want to run the risk of messing anything up. So I'm just going to cut that off, it's fine. And then here, cut that off because it doesn't want to pull either. Okay, got something going on here. That could be, no, that's alright, so that, right, now turn to the front and have a look at that as well. So I can see lots of tacking here, but this is probably what's happened, the tacking that's taken place when I've been attaching the cloth. Okay. And again, just cut, don't over pull, because with something like this you don't know exactly what it is you're pulling, so you just want to be ultra careful, to be honest. A little bit there, where's that coming from? And you find that if you have cuts in some places, they're my 4 that I need to tie off my finishing threads from the machine. What was I going to say? That if you have cut in places, then other places will come easier because it's already been cut further down the line. So there's a bit. There. Okay, well, if that's it now, I think that might be it, and that's definitely not straight, by the way, but having said that, I'm quite fortunate insofar as when I've done this I'll turn it back and show you. Again, try and get my front thread through to tie this off. That's it. That it actually looks good a bit offset. So you know, if you have an intention of applying something straight and for whatever reason it doesn't result in what your intention had been, don't automatically, years ago I would have put this in the bin because of that, well maybe not, but I would have been absolutely traumatised because of that. But you know, who said that in terms of pieces like this, that are art pieces, that everything has to be perfectly straight? Some, yeah, of course, but I think with this piece, when I turn this to the front again, I think you'll appreciate that it doesn't necessarily have to be. So again, this one to tie off, and that's all those ends secured, and hopefully it's all the tacking out as well. Okay. Well, I need to trim that as well. So I need to trim this. I haven't got my fabric scissors, but it should be alright. And I'll keep this. I don't throw things like this away because they're very useful when I come to create this cloth that I make called snippet cloth. The newbies won't know about that, but I know some of you will. It'll go in my snippet jar, so it's not going to be wasted, don't worry about that. Right, so that's how the back looks. I've got my tape on from when I put that third piece on. Just a sec. Right. And so this is the front, and there. Now the fact that that isn't straight is nothing a man on a galloping horse would notice. It actually looks fine, it's very organic, it's very lovely. I'm very, 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 very happy with this. So the 3 sheets that we've created, I am gonna turn off again. Don't worry, I'm gonna join all these videos together, and I'm gonna put all 3 of them side by side on the table and move the camera. This is my sewing machine too. Move the camera so that you can see the diversity of what we've made in this class. And I've loved this class, and I would love to have made this an 8-week class where we could have just got, well, we could have got the 3 sheets and mixed and matched. Now there's sometime this week you're going to get another video, and what I'm going to do there is I'm going to make a video for you and a video for my other class that's nearly finished, Simply Stitch 5, because I've been doing design sheets with them that mirror the work I'm doing in that class. And I was playing with them the other day, and I had kind of a light bulb moment that you all might benefit from the fact that all of these things I've done on all of these sheets are interchangeable. And it'll only be very quick, 5-10 minutes, but that'll be coming sometime later this week, and hopefully it'll spur you on to make more and use these processes and techniques to do other things with and to incorporate other work. So I'll just turn off and I'll sort that out with the table, and then I'll be back to show you those 3. Right, so here we are. The thing I've just discovered as well is that looks perfect on that design sheet, on that board. I think that's going to be fine. I don't think there's going to be a problem, so I will mount that on there the same way as I mounted the others. Now if you look at the others, look at the diversity. I'm hoping that you can see, just from looking at these placed together like this, how they're interchangeable, how you can take them all forward by mixing and matching. Okay. It's a wonderful achievement. More particularly, yours are a wonderful achievement because you've had no formal training in this. Believe it or not, I know I've made some whoop-de-doo mistakes, but I've had formal training in the way to think with regards to things like this. I didn't have formal training in putting zips in or any of this, but the actual mindset, getting yourself to think that way and look at things that way, I've had that training, you haven't. So just look at how, you know, I mean, I've seen what's happening in Flickr, and every single one of you has a lot to be proud of, and it's been amazing. And I would love an 8-week thing where we start maybe with 1 and then develop the same one and keep going and keep going. There may be some repetition in that. I don't even know if I'm going to do it, but that's something for me to think about for the new year. So I hope you all are able to get your pieces out and look at them like this and feel extremely proud, because I'm telling you honestly, you have every right to feel extremely proud. If I had an hour to spare now, which I haven't, I would be making notes now on what I can mix and match. I'm not going to say too much more because that'll be me talking about what's going to happen in the other video you're going to get. But yeah, so a big pat on the back for all of you off me. You've been amazing and I've loved this. Thank you very much. And good night. It's like an Oscar speech.